Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Monday, January the 5th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to open modestly higher to begin the first full week of trading for the year, with ASX futures up around 0.1%. Global stocks rose on Friday to begin the new year. European shares beginning at a record high with a boost from tech and defence stocks. London's blue chip FTSE 100 hit the 10,000 point mark for the first time. And on Wall Street, the Dow and S&P 500 ended higher, snapping a 4-day losing streak. But there was no Santa rally for the S&P 500, with it falling to a monthly loss in December. But the index still climbing more than 16% in 2025, its third straight year of double-digit percentage gains. Chip stocks rallied on Friday, led by Nvidia and Intel, while several market heavyweights such as Apple and Microsoft fell. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq were also pressured by losses in consumer discretionary stocks, including Amazon. Tesla slid after annual sales fell for a second year. For the full year, the EV maker delivered 1.64 million vehicles compared with 1.79 million the previous year. Berkshire Hathaway's post-Buffett era began on Friday as shares slipped slightly after the Oracle of Omaha handed Greg Abel the top job following 6 decades at the helm. And US-listed shares of gold miners soared as bullion resumes its historic rally. The copper miners, including US-listed shares of BHP and Rio, tracked the price of the red metal higher. And the rapidly moving events in Venezuela will be the focus for global investors this week. The country is estimated to have the world's largest oil reserves, but output has plummeted over the past decades amid mismanagement and a lack of investment from foreign firms after oil operations were nationalised. That included the assets of ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips, while Chevron is the only major American operator there currently in Venezuela. Well, the capture by the United States of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has sparked deep uncertainty about the future of the oil-rich South American nation. Maduro is in a New York detention center awaiting a court appearance tonight on drug charges. US President Donald Trump ordered his seizure from Venezuela on Saturday and said the US would take control of the country. But in Caracas, top officials in Maduro's government, who have called the detentions of he and his wife a kidnapping, were still in charge. Meanwhile, on the data front, it's a potentially pivotal week in the US ahead of the next decision on interest rates, with the employment data due at the end of the week. Other data includes manufacturing and service sector activity, along with job openings and other labour market data. US Treasury yields edged higher in New Year's first day of trading as market participants looked to the employment reports. The US 10-year Treasury note, the yield there was up more than 4 basis points to 4.19%. US dollar began 2026 stronger. The Aussie dollar is trading at 66.9 US cents. Well, analysts expect the oil market to easily absorb any possible halt to production from Venezuela, which accounts for less than 1% of global supply. It's expected that would take years to see any meaningful boost to crude output from the South American country, even if US oil majors do invest in the country that President Donald Trump has promised. On Friday, Brent crude futures closed down slightly to be at around $60 a barrel, and OPEC Plus kept oil output unchanged on Sunday after a meeting that avoided discussion of political crises. Well, precious metals began the first trading session of the new year by building on the major gains of 2025, as geopolitical tensions and expectations of US rate cuts kept demand for gold higher. In the wake of Venezuela's crisis, gold is up at $4,330 an ounce. Copper has surged more than 3.5%, and Bitcoin has risen above 91,000 US dollars. Well, ahead locally this week, fairly quiet, with key data releases being on Wednesday with the monthly consumer price index for November. We also get building approvals on Thursday, international trade data. And overseas, ISM global manufacturing and services data is released this week. Wednesday sees private payrolls in the US as well as job openings, while the focus will be on the US non-farm payrolls on Friday. That is your week ahead. We'll see you again tomorrow.